So continuing on with the forest law, and this is the second part of the acorn that we want to talk about. And already we have said that the acorn represents this possibility of creation. And of course that is something that even runs through what we are about to say. But there's this other side, or this other part of the acorn representation is so important that we want to do it separately. And what we call this is the big sleep. The big sleep. When an acorn, or any seed, but we only use the acorn because it fits in well, it represents well the seed, this idea, falls from the tree, it does not automatically fall into a nice little hole in the ground and then is automatically covered up with the soil and the leaves, etc., and then is watered. It doesn't happen like that, right? It falls from the tree. Maybe an animal comes, carries it away to another place. Maybe it is blown away by a wind. Maybe it just sits there and then is eaten. Maybe it sits there and rots, nothing ever happens. Maybe, though, it sits there. And as we said before, it's covered by the leaves. And this forms like mulchy, composty stuff, and it works its way into the ground, etc. And then the rains come. And it is watered and loved and nurtured. And then the sun. The summer comes and it warms the ground and it provides this beautiful cradle that is a warm, loving, expectant, right? And then after all of that, and this might take more than a year, maybe longer, but in the terms of the nature, it's a long time, but not a long time, right? Then maybe it feels these little inklings of movement, and the roots, they start to feel their way out, right? Just a little bit of a tentative push out to see what's there. Is it right? Is it right? No, it's not right, we'll stop. Or yes, it's right, let's go. And then they grow, these roots, and then eventually the little tiny seedling comes up through the earth and starts its way. And we call that the big sleep. And when you look at the big sleep and then that idea, and you transfer that to humans, it's exactly the same. The humans have what we call the big sleep. The big sleep occurs from the point of death to the point of actual birth. You could say the conception is the birth, but not in this case. The actual birth, where the little, what do you call them? The roots are coming out, the giving of the birth. So between the death and the actual birth of the person, we call this the big sleep. What happens in the big sleep? Exactly what happens for the acorn. There is nourishing. There is repairing. There is love. There is time given. This is in the spirit world, right? Because the life of the human being, maybe they've had a charmed life, maybe they've had a difficult life, but when they die, the spirit has this time to leave and go and join with the universal energy absolutely, right? Without being weighted down by the body, absolutely. And it is washed with love, literally washed over with love. And it lies in this love and it basks. It basks in this love. And then the time comes for it to come back, if it wishes to come back. And of course, during the time that it is basking in this love and the decision to come back, there are desires that need to be worked out and fulfilled, right? And so all of that, that's like everything that we said about the acorn with the nurturing and the leaves, etc. That's like the love, and then working out whether it can put its little roots out, yes or no. That's these desires that come. The desires connect the spirit to the physical world, right? It's a connection, these desires. And so all of that, that's what we call the big sleep. And then, of course, there's the birth. But there's the gestation period, which is like when it's in this lovely, warm, nourishing cradle, right? That's the gestation, then the birth. But how can we use this in healing, right? How can we use that? We can use this in healing in several ways. For some people, when they have lost a loved one, for example, the grieving is just unbearable for them. But when you can give them this idea of the big sleep, and you can say, give them something physical, like the acorn, you can actually give them the acorn and say, this represents the big sleep, the past life, the present life, and the new life, right? And you give it to them and you explain all of that, and it brings them some relief and happiness. Not that they've lost, it doesn't relieve the fact that they've lost their loved one, but it gives them another insight, something else to hold on to, something else to lay their roots down with. Also, this helps the person that might be dying, right? It helps them in the living to know that this is what's going to happen. This is something that will happen to them. The big sleep is nothing to be afraid of. It's just the progression, right? They're not actually dying. They're not actually leaving the planet, because some people are very frightened of that. They're actually just going on a long sleep and they're coming back. But also for us, we use it as let us say, a spiritual connection, right? And it gives us a balance when we are healing somebody. It gives a balance, right? Because what are you doing? You're actually connecting with that big sleep, that you're connecting with that as a healer. Lots of healers, especially hands-on healers, but lots of healers, when they're doing whatever kind of work, maybe they are doing kinesiology, chiropractic, nursing, it doesn't matter. They often feel that they have this connection. And that connection is the big sleep, right? We call the big sleep, right? And the acorn is really representative of that. So what we do, if we are feeling that we're losing contact with that, we imagine the acorn and its part in the big sleep. And when you can think about that, it really takes you to that level of spirituality where you are so connected with the healing energy of the spirit. Because remember what we said, that when the human dies, they are enveloped in that love, right? And that's when you are feeling that you are not, as a healer, you are losing your connection. You just think of the acorn and the big sleep, and you can really feel that energy come within you, and then the healing is beautiful. It's beautiful. Blessings to you, our friends. We are the Ancestral Medicine Women, healing from the past for the present and the future.